man's got fire and a wild hot take. Hey, Andrew's stats make the whole place shake. Hey, laughing loud when your team goes down. Hey, Straub boys run this sports town. Show. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show. Sundays, Mondays, we live for the fight. Hey, college game day and Thursday night. Hey, rivals fall and the banter flies. We bleed our teams till the day we die.
I can't. I gotta finish it.
Bro Sports Show. S-T-R-A-A-U-B. Two loud mouths and a love for the league. From Cleveland roots to the world we go. This is the Straub Bro Sports Show.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome again. Welcome in, as always, to the Straub Bro Sports Show. Big Bro Ken tapping in with you, as always, with Little Bro Drew. Bro, we are so back.
So back. And unlike 2 weeks ago, I have stuff on the wall. I will point to this anytime I think I have a better take than you. That is my diploma.
Okay.
Repping the CLE. And got to put some Goodwill Hunting up on the wall here. So I think we got a good mix of everything that represents what I think this show should be about.
We were locked in sync all day for 2 weeks. And the minute we're alive, you're throwing punches. I got you, man. I got you. All right. Big Bro got you. It feels good to be back. I let the music play because I 100% felt like a wrestler. I felt like Edge standing in the ring and they're still singing our song. So we let that play a little bit. It feels good to be back. Yeah. You have been working and moving into a new place. I've been riding the wave, been doing my Rapids thing. I want to give all my love and my shout outs to just my whole entire Rapids crew. Some of them already in the building. First of all, the love I have for that woman right there, Anna, and my kicker is in the building as well. And as always, Mom and Dad in the building as well. I rode the wave to a championship game. I rode the wave to 2 years of just an amazing journey with some incredible people. Daniel, Anna, Connor, Morgan, Jamal, all my players. I won't do too much. I had to make a commercial, so I didn't get emotional talking about it on the broadcast. But the wave is over. It will never be forgotten. News coming forward in the rest of the show on what goes forward for me on this half of the Straub Bro Sports Show. If you've been following the pages, you may already know. But if not, stay tuned. I got it for you. Little Bro will just be tagging along on the podcast because that's what he does. Hey, I did get my shot back. With that being said, bro, it's time to tap into one of our favorite segments, one that we come back to even when we've been away, and that is it's time to guard the land. It's time to talk a little bit of baseball. We haven't talked a lot about the Guardians because we haven't had a lot of shows, but currently 2 back in the division, currently holding the 3rd wild card spot by a game and a half.
Yeah, and obviously this is a little outdated from because I made this yesterday, and this is before they came back and won it. So it's 68 and 66
Two
to
nights in a
two and a
row.
half back of the AL
nights in a
Central. Yeah, this team looked dead in the water pretty much 2 weeks ago. They were struggling. They were losing series they shouldn't be losing. And it seems like they were slowly but surely slipping out of that wild card spot. And then they've rattled off 6 straight wins. So obviously they're going to keep us locked in until the end of the season, which I think pretty much they always do. And for good reason, because they have the third easiest schedule remaining, including a final showdown against the White Sox, which could be very, very pivotal. And as you can see, we got a lot of guys playing well. Chase DeLauder, Stephen Kwan, Joe Adell, just absolutely tearing the cover off the baseball. Stephen Kwan has 30 hits in the month of August. I think that's incredible. Joe Adell, while he does strike out a lot, man, that man can hit the ball. 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. Absolutely fantastic. And Chase, while picked up a minor knock, has been doing very, very well hitting the ball.
You wanted to make sure of that distinction there?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are still kind of frustrated with Chase in terms of keeping on the field. But honestly, I think this is the most amount of games he's played in like 3 years. And the fact that he's doing it in the majors, but 2, even during those stints of injury, he comes back and still hits well. I think that's something to really, really make note of, that once we get this guy to kind of shake all of the rust off and put a full season together, multiple years into the majors, it's going to be very, very special.
First of all, much love to my guy Morgan. Second, I love your new setup. Excuse me again. I love your new setup because I already can tell when you've gone into the heavy duty notes because the body shifts over. I'm getting the full experience there. They better win. I hate to derail your segment, but can I address the elephant in the room?
Absolutely.
How come we're not talking about the Little League World Series?
We should, because
first of all, shout out to Team Ohio.
I was gonna say,
big love to them doing work. But back to I'm sorry. The Little League World Series came up as soon as I started looking up.
Shout out to them, and then honestly, shout out to that team in Ohio playing Nevada in the semis either today or tomorrow, and it's gonna be we're rooting for them all the way.
Absolutely. Shout out to my son who won his first baseball game yesterday too.
Let's go.
Kwan starting to play well finally, thank goodness.
Yes.
I think Adele's been hitting the ball since he showed up, basically. DeLauder. The problem for this team is Hosey has decided to wait until like August to get hot.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I understand there was injuries involved, but I wonder if the struggles, and this is the same thing that happened to this team last year, but this team wasn't as talented as this year's team, and the kids from last year's team have grown up a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
They got hot at the right time last year. Yes, Detroit collapsed, but they got hot at the right time. If this team can get hot with this pitching and this offensive firepower that has potential, the Guardians can make a real run. The problem I have is, and this is the one thing, I understand to get to the playoffs, it's about small ball. Okay? And I understand that even in some playoff games, you got to play a little bit of small ball. But we have seen this in the funny part about the Guardians is the Guardians have actually spoiled us. The Guardians have now become what that first a run of LeBron, or not even the first run, all of those years of LeBron years where you got to kind of sit back and watch and go, all right, but when we get to the playoffs, this is what we got to do. You've been in enough playoff games, Guardians fans, that you know you got to hit some home runs.
Yep.
You got to leave the ballpark. And the problem for this team is Manzardo, I think, is still like second or third on the team in home runs. And Jose, yes, coming along. If they all start to come. I mean, I remember years ago, Roberto Perez launching home runs against Boston. a guy who didn't hit many throughout the regular season. Not saying it can't happen, but where's the power going to come from? And shout out to Ray. I knew my guy would be in eventually as well.
No, you're absolutely right.
That's what I worry about.
I would have worried about it. And well, honestly, we've worried about it for the past 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Truly, when you look at it, right, you had Jose Ramirez, who was a model of consistency for a majority of that time. And then you had someone, and usually was only one other guy that we brought in to try to lift up that power, and they never panned out. We can run through the cycle of right fielders that we ran through to try to make that happen in first baseman. It seems like we have it now, at least to some degree, right? Chase is always liable for a home run. Joe Adell has been hitting the cover off the ball since he's been here, even if it's streaky. When he does make contact, it's there. You have these guys now that can make that type of contact along with Jose Ramirez. And so I think if this team can show that consistency of Kwan getting on base, Rocchio getting on base, Bazana and Angel getting on base, and the other guys can bring in that power, we can talk about the pitching here in a minute. The pitching is going to keep it within a run. You just got to get a couple more.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Just for the record, I have a lot of notes. Okay. I have a lot of notes. I have 2 notes for the Guardians because this was all just going to come off of how I felt. So this all of a sudden Cavaliers comparison that I'm making, I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to continue it. The year that the Cavaliers did win, the franchise went all in. It wasn't just with the Kevin Loves and the Kyrie Irvings. It was all of the other guys, the J.R. Smiths and the Shumperts. And okay, that's why we win a championship. The complaint that I have lobbied, you have lobbied, our comments have lobbied, everyone we know has lobbied for 40 years. This ownership group is cheap. They don't spend money. They don't go out and get enough help. And if they go and get a guy, it's a cheap rental who's not worth it. They went out and got some guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it. There's no excuses. So, and there's no excuses. And when I say no excuses, I mean to us. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Let this team play. But at the same time, I can look at this team and I can look at this coaching staff and say, you needed help, and I gave you everything you needed.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And just to wrap up kind of some pitching that we're talking about, this great pitching, Parker Messick has been almost unhittable throughout the entire month of August and for a lot of the year. I'll talk about it in a minute because I have a bone to pick on that, but we'll move forward. Matt Festa has been incredible in August. A guy that we have constantly harped on has come through in a lot of good situations. I still have to clench a little when Vogt puts him in and it's at least a 1 or 2 run game. But he's proving us wrong at least this month. And Kate Smith is doing what Kate Smith does. So I have no worries about that. Here's the bone I have to pick about Parker Messick, and it's not him. This man, at least according to what I've been looking at, is a top 6 Cy Young candidate right now, which is incredible for a rookie. He is 3rd in Rookie of the Year in voting over Kevin McGonigal, which, okay, he's been having a decent year. 13 home runs is good. And I cannot pronounce the guy's name off the White Sox, who actually is doing better than Kevin McGonigal, but because Kevin McGonigal has had this amazing news and media push, is far and ahead the best option for Rookie of the Year. That, in my head, is crazy to me, that you have a top 5 Cy Young candidate sitting 3rd in the Rookie of the Year race, in my opinion, when the other 2 guys aren't even close to the MVP discussion in their respective categories. That's the only bone I have to pick, that he's not getting the great representation that he should have.
I promise to the viewers, as we continue to have shows weekly, he will get through some of this stuff and it'll be okay.
I needed to talk about that.
And that's fine. I have nothing for it. I'm not going to lie to you. Sure. I mean, the problem is well, number one, rookie of the year is always a non-pitcher award for the most part.
Yeah, you're right.
So you have to look at that. Cy Young, they'll give that to a rookie. So I'm not surprised he's higher up in the Cy Young. Man, Cleveland, when you had Lindor and Jose, you got a lot of love. When you had the Cy Young pitcher, clearly you got a lot of love. When Jose is an MVP candidate, you got a lot of love. You're kind of irrelevant. Just be under the radar and let's get into the playoffs.
But, and also if Albert Bell couldn't get the MVP in '95, no one in Cleveland's getting the MVP.
There you go. Dad is now happy. You brought his old gripes into the show as well. We'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. We'll keep you updated weekly now on where, what's been going on with our Guardians as well.
Absolutely. Gavin and Brian Rocchio get it together. We're gonna need both of y'all down the stretch. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. The Rocchio one is it's awful timing because all of these guys have pretty much had some dips, minus 1 or 2. It's just that his is glaring right now because the games have more weight. So and for Gavin Williams, I mean,
it's the thing we've talked about forever with Gavin. When he's good, he's immaculate. When he's bad, he throws some meatballs, and that's the problem.
Absolutely. All right, Drew. Before we get started on something that I consider, me and you both have favorite things that we do within the year of a show, a season of shows. I'll call them season. We're trying to make Law and Order numbers, okay? Hey, and not Criminal Intent. I'm talking SVU. Don't sue us. You love the Halloween show because it forces me to dress up in the costumes. This is hands down one of my top 5s or top 3 easily. I don't know what else would jump over the top of this, but this is it. I'm excited for this. You have a new segment to debut yourself. Because every year you do something in terms of college football. I have my segment as well. But before that, I did tease it, so I'm going to bring it in. The question was asked, what's next? What's next for me? I have the answer.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they're getting wet.
Once again, the band's back together. Now, covering all OVCC sports, starting with football.
Drop, I know.
Yes, sir. The band is all back together. Me, Mel, Rico, obviously Mel in control of the 216 Sports Network, Rico of the Rulers Minute and Rulers Media, me, one half of the Straub Sports Show, the bigger half, physically.
I was gonna say you want me to go there. You want me to go
I went there for you. We're all back together, covering OVCC, Ohio Valley Christian Community College. We have our first game this weekend. We're on to the football season. We'll be in Detroit for that. That'll be coming to you live. I'm not going to tell you exactly where. Just stay tuned. You'll trust me. You'll know when you know. So we're super excited for that. Football is on the schedule. Basketball in the wintertime. Baseball in the summertime. There's a soccer team coming next weekend. I just want to throw that out to the person who happens to be over there, that side. But I'm super excited for this. I also, in doing so, can announce that I am officially retired from semi-pro. It was a fun journey, but basically what I said was I would do anything on a team that was run by my guy Daniel. But as we move into this OVCC journey, my man doesn't want to stress as an owner anymore, and I don't blame him. So I'm officially retired. I had a lot of fun. I got to do three championship games, one for the Rapids, two last year. I got to do an all-star game. I got to do an undefeated season, and I got to meet a lot of guys that I consider brothers along the way, and sisters as well. So I'm retired. We're on to OVCC. We're on to JUCO at the Straub Sports Show. And with that being said, JUCO college, it's time for the Straub Sports Show college football preview. So what we're going to do is Drew's going to be in control of the graphics. We went through the conferences and we picked our contenders in each conference. What I don't know, because Drew made the list, is which teams I picked and which teams Drew picked. We're going to have some fun. We're going to yell at each other about teams we left off and make fun of each other for teams we put on there. Without further ado, Drew, not only are we going to start in a conference you know very well, you will get your own little side segment in here because we're starting with the Big 12. So,
yes. And I'm going to leave this up to you. Would you like my 30-second to 5-minute rant about my own team before we get into it or after we get into the Big 12?
No, let's get into the Big 12, then we can do some rants.
All right. So, like we said, this is teams we think are going to have a chance to make the CFP. We didn't want to go into everyone. I don't feel like talking about Mississippi State this year. We're going to get into it. First off, the Big 12 and Ken. Differences aplenty already. You only got 2. I got 5.
Yep.
I want you to get into yours because I'm going to add my 3 at the end.
Okay. Well, clearly you had the right idea because the 2 teams that I selected are on your list. Oh, I guess we should also mention we ranked our teams in terms of what we feel would be. So obviously me and Drew both think BYU has the best chance to represent the Big 12 in the college football playoff, followed by, he says, Texas Tech. I say Arizona. So, I mean, the reason I feel this way is, yes, maybe 2 teams get in, but the way that almost called them the Pac-12, the way that the Big 12 every year crumbles within each other and everyone beats each other within 4 weeks of each other because they all play each other in that last run of games, flip-flopping back and forth. I felt like I could have gone one or 2 ways. I could have picked everyone or I could have narrowed it down. And I decided to narrow it down. First things first, I'm going to make fun of you because I don't even know why Houston's on that graphic. I'll let you defend that in a second.
They're at the bottom.
Yes. Utah, the inconsistency for Utah is the problem that I have, number one. I just don't know if the quarterback play is going to be strong enough there. That is also why I have an issue with Texas Tech. They were supposed to have your former Cincinnati Bearcat, Brandon Sorsby, but thankfully, shout out to the rest of the NCAA and the Big 12 who basically boycotted Texas Tech as an entire program, as a university, to make sure that they got rid of a guy who was basically, and it's going to be found out, has basically just been betting since he was in high school at this point. So get him all the way out of here. The problem then for Texas Tech is, and this is why I don't have Texas Tech up there, all of these distractions, all of these extras, all of these, I was planning for this guy and now I got to go here. I think they're going to stumble along the way. That leaves me to my last 2 teams. First of all, Arizona. Hello. Noah Fafita's still there. So as long as my guy is there, in him I trust, and I'm going to ride that wave all the way through. They have an absolutely grueling schedule. But here is a theme that I have for my selections this week. If Noah Fafita, I think Noah Fafita can be in the Heisman race. If that is to happen, Arizona is in the driver's seat of the Big 12. The second team, BYU, it is their conference to lose. Bear Bachmeier has to lead them. And I'm going to say this, and this is not a homer pick. Please ignore the special shirt that I wear for my college football preview show. BYU has to ignore the Notre Dame game. because that game does not matter. Because even if you win that game, if you stumble through the Big 12, you'll still be sitting Selection Sunday and be crying because you will not be there. Focus on the Big 12 and everything will take care of itself.
You made a lot of good points, and I agree with a lot of them. Here's the problem
I'm going to listen to you when I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay. BYU, absolutely. They have the returning players to make this run. The coach, even with all of his arguing that they're not getting NIL, is an amazing coach. He's going to be coaching well. This team is the most ready to win on the road in tough environments like a Texas Tech or a Utah. So I agree with you there. I was flipping between Arizona and Texas Tech, and here's why. I agree with you that Texas Tech losing Brandon Sorsby demolishes them from being the top candidate, because honestly, if they had Brandon Sorsby, they would be over BYU. However, everything else stays the same for this Texas Tech team. They have the highest returning production in the Big 12. I think they are 12th overall. And they just signed, because of the college football committee allowing for 5th years, have signed a veteran quarterback in Castellanos who played for Florida State. And so while I agree that there might be some growing pains in this quarterback room, they're going to figure it out. You have the veteran presence. You have the rookie in case, he starts to show flashes, and you got everyone else around him, right? And I think that's going to help a lot, especially in college football. We know how much a defense or a offensive line can really impact a game more than a quarterback has to. And for Arizona, love Noah Fafita. You saw the dip when he loses skill guys, right? When Ted McMillan left, you saw the dip in that team, offensive production-wise, and the defense itself really hasn't been that great in recent years or at all. That's a Pac-12 team at heart, you know what I mean? And so I think that could go back and forth. I just think Texas Tech has the edge because that's a team that if they go into Arizona, I think they can still get a win. That Arizona team goes into Texas Tech on the road or an environment like that, I think they're going to struggle. And I think that's the difference, in my opinion, between Texas Tech and Arizona.
Real quick, shout out to our guy Castellanos from Florida State, transferred in, and Boston College.
Yes.
And you're very true, very, very correct on the Arizona part, because I have at the bottom of this Arizona note, if Fafita's in the Heisman race, the playmakers have developed. If they don't, like you said, I'll be with one team left.
Absolutely. And the other ones, I put this strictly because the unknown of the Big 12 is there every single year. We think BYU is going to be good, and we think they're going to run the table. We don't know that. And because of the uncertainties of Texas Tech and Arizona this year, Utah, if they get enough home games against wins against these teams, they can hold it out with a 1 or 2 loss and still make it in. And I know you're going to make fun of me against this Houston pick. Houston, across the board, has improved, and they were 10-3 last year, and in the Big 12 championship race until the final week. And so, if this Houston team can continue to build on that, I think this Houston team is going to be a sleeper team in this Big 12 that we're going to look back and go, man, why didn't we think more highly of them? They had the good season last year. They got better. And it's that group of they haven't been out of the group of 5 long enough for us to consider them that kind of team. And so I think that's why we always rank them so low. And they had a really good season last year. That's their last. But I think that's where the line is of who has a chance to win the Big 12.
Houston needs to shake off the bad rap of there are levels when teams make this jump.
Yes.
Some storm in, some don't do well at all, some kind of wave. It's been a real low wave for Houston, and they're trying to show everyone that they've actually put something on. And yes, I'm going to wear out the wave thing for one last time. Just for the record, before we do move on out of here, based on projections, Texas Tech, number 1, BYU, number 2, Utah, number 3, a team neither of us have on our list, Kansas State, 4. My problem is that's a brand new head coach, former quarterback. I'll get to that in a second. Then followed by Arizona, TCU, another team we do not have on our list, and then Houston.
Yeah, that Kansas State one, it's truly dependent on how much they can get out of Avery Johnson because he was their entire offense last year.
Absolutely. Now, Colin Klein, I could not remember the name, former Wildcat quarterback,
Yes.
Colin Klein, in his first year there. So, Drew, my question for you is twofold. First of all, I'm going to give you the floor to talk about your Bearcats real quick. The Brandon Sorsby news. I've teased you relentlessly behind the scenes about it. Do you think he bet on Cincinnati games? And do you think at this point the program is completely leaned out of whatever influence he may have had around that culture?
Sure.
And then you can take
No, I appreciate that. So first off, did he bet on Cincinnati games? If he did, it seems like, at least through the investigations that have been done, Cincinnati had no knowledge of it.
Which for you is the good news.
It's the good news because it showed there was a investigation that led to show that he had logged into an account and immediately was put into a training and a kind of a program saying this, you can't do this. It's kind of like when you get a phishing email and you click on it at work. You get a retraining, you get told not to do this, right? But it's ultimately up to you to better yourself. So that's the one thing. Secondly, while I don't believe that we are fully flushed out of the quote-unquote culture that he sent, I think the repercussions that he has been given is enough to scare some of these dudes straight. Because for the longest time, right, it was clear evidence that a guy bet on games, he got a suspension or he got a fine, and that was it.
His career.
Brandon Sorsby's, at least college career, is over. Potential pro career is very, very much impacted because we've seen guys that have taken a year off and trying to get back in the NFL. That's tough for dudes who have been in the NFL. We're talking about dude who's never been in the NFL and doesn't know that speed yet and has to get up to NFL level in a year he's been off of college.
Not to mention, pro sports are already dealing with these gambling issues in these investigations. College is kind of not dealing with it as much. At this point they come up to the pros and they're going to, this is no different than anywhere. You can't get it done on that level. You can't keep it together on that level. What's going to happen when I give you this kind of money and this kind of fame and this kind of pressure? No. Yeah. All right, Drew. Without making it 5 minutes.
It was a joke.
Talk about your Bearcats. How are your Bearcats going to finish in the Big 12?
That is the question. To most, not well. I would say the over-under, depending on what side I see, goes between 3 wins and best case scenario, 7 wins. This is a prove-it year for Scott Satterfield. And I know I kind of said that last year because all the chips were there for him. And 7-5, while not amazing, is what you bare minimum needed to see from him to continue to believe that he can get it done. But unfortunately, because it's 7-5, it's again a prove-it year. And the prove-it year is different, right? Because you don't know if the answer at quarterback is JC French or, if he's going to bust now getting to a big level. You don't know if the receivers you've replaced with NFL talent is, back in. But there's some hope here. At least from what I've heard. the wide receiver room is the best it's been since Scott Satterfield has stepped onto the field, at least off of preseason looks. We returned 3 of our 5 offensive linemen and consider the one of, if not the best offensive line in the Big 12. J.C. French is a known commodity that has been known to play really well and be very efficient with the football. And you bring in Army defensive coordinator to run your defense, which has been a known problem with the Cincinnati since Scott Satterfield has come in. So the pieces are there. It just needs to come together and show that Scott Satterfield is running a competent team. Because it seems that you have the pieces to contend and to be a good team. If you're not and you struggle and it seems there's no cohesion, that's when you say, is he the man for the job?
The way you've hit the portal, and I mean, this has kind of been, even with Fickle, you have to hit the portal and you have to land. Like, that's just what it is for Cincinnati. This is pretty easy for you, honestly, bro. If he hits on the portal, you're going to be okay. You're going to be decent. You're not going to win the Big 12, but you're going to be okay. You're going to win 7 or 8 games, and you're going to go, okay, we're building. If this portal doesn't hit, you're going to know very early on, these aren't the guys. And if these aren't the guys, it's time to get rid of him because those are his guys. So there's no gray area season here for, and I know you said a proven season, but it's black or white there for Cincinnati. If these guys hit, you'll be a player in the mid to upper Big 12. If not, he might not make it through the season.
No, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, it's been very similar to how our basketball team has been the past couple of years, where you had Wes Miller bringing in all of these guys that were studs and great, and then they struggled when they got here. They couldn't shoot the ball all of a sudden. They weren't dynamic as they were in there. And so you had to get rid of them. And that's what we did, because regardless of how well you can recruit, if the results on the field aren't there, it's not good enough. And I think the same can be said with Scott Satterfield. You're bringing in all these pieces that we like to hear, and it sounds good. But if you don't get the results on the field from these guys, that's on you then. That's not on the players.
When I put my coaching shirt on, I feel a different type of way when I leave the house. When I put my white T-shirt and my black polo on to go broadcast, I feel a certain way when I leave the house. When Drew puts a Cincinnati Bearcat shirt on, he feels a certain type of way because it is August 27th, and my man is talking about college basketball. Pump the brakes. All right.
Hey, Calhoun, we trust, baby. I'm ready.
Got you. All right. So that does it for the Big 12. Drew, before you put the graphic up, get it ready. This is probably the second most excited I will get in. Oh, wait, you have a different. Oh, you did that to me.
Hold on.
Thank you. No.
We'll figure it out. Hold on. This one.
I can't see what that is. I'm just going to say it, and then you can figure it out from there. All right. Drew, the second most excited I will be in this podcast until I do my hot takes. The Pac-12 is back. Pac-12 After Dark is back. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am. Do you have a Pac-12 graphic? Did you lose the Pac-12 graphic?
I did not lose the Pac-12 graphic. There was some miscommunication on our end about how we wanted the graphics to go.
Okay.
And because they don't have an automated bid, I have lumped them into the group of 6.
You know what? That is okay. What I'm excited for is Pac-12 After Dark, okay? What I'm excited about is that when I leave and I get home at night, I get to watch football at midnight. That's meaningful. But I have no problem talking about it. Put them up.
Absolutely.
Now we're on the same page. Wow. So technically, out of those teams there, Fresno State and Boise State and NC State do not count as you're technically, because they are in the Pac-12. But Drew, we both have James Madison. I'm gonna give some love there real quick. Billy Napier. Maybe Florida was a little bit too big, but James Madison is the perfect landing spot for him. I do really like them to immediately turn around. It would be different if a coach at that level had dropped down to like an Indiana, not an Indiana, don't take it, but what Indiana was, or an Illinois, or something like that. Yeah, but to take this kind of jump even a little further down, I think it's going to help the rebound there. Let's go one row at a time. So I have that, and then over in the Pac-12, I like this Fresno State team. As much as I do love this Pac-12 because the Pac-12 is back, y'all need to recruit some teams.
Yeah. I took a look at the Pac-12 just to refresh myself, and I went, we don't need to be some better teams here. No, this Fresno State team, I think, has a lot of potential to it. I just think that's the key there is potential, right? You really need to see how this team looks week one to understand how they're going to look the rest of the season. And the issue is they may also look completely different, at the end of the year than they are on the front, just because of how this team grows. So if they can get through the growing pains without much losses on the week one calendar and weeks 1 through 4, that'll be.
Stick to your side of the list. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I was talking about your thing. On my end, I love this San Diego State team on Pac-12. I think
hold on. Give me UNLV first.
Oh, okay.
Let's go line by line. So we both had James Madison. I hit James Madison. I hit Fresno State. Give me James Madison and UNLV.
Yeah, James Madison, I think you hit it perfectly. Billy Napier, I think, is a one who knows how to run a program. And JMU is a program that doesn't need a lot of fine-tuning. It just needs a straight shot. And that's exactly what this team can do. And so that's exactly what that is there. And then for UNLV, this is a team I think we've talked about for 2 to 3 years of they should be killing it year in and year out. Just because the Mountain West is a little iffy. And they win. They win the Mountain West. It's just they need to take that step to not just win the Mountain West, dominate the Mountain West. And if I'm being completely honest, I think with how now we've shifted with some teams going to the Pac-12, they have the opportunity to do that this year. And so I think truly the only team that I think, in my opinion, makes it a little difficult for them is New Mexico, and I'll talk about them later. But if they can get over New Mexico, it is a straight shot into a one-loss or undefeated season, and we're talking about them getting into the CFP.
Well done, and nice with the tease there. You are growing up as a podcast host. I'm going to start with Hawaii because Marshall is special, and you'll see why. First of all, who doesn't love Hawaii? Everybody knows I love Hawaii. Yeah, we will be talking about them when I do bring back Big Bros Big Bets. It is not ready for this week, so I don't even have the games for this week, actually. I just know there's a lot of football on tonight that I'm going to be watching. So Timmy Chang and my Rainbow Warriors primed and ready. Redshirt quarterback Michael Alejandro is back. I really like this team, and here's why I like this. They have the best out-of-conference schedule out of everyone else in their conference, meaning if Hawaii can put together a conference run, the committee is going to have a nice resume to look at. And what I mean is the last year when we were doing the North Texases and the JMUs and everyone else's, not a lot of them had teams that everyone else in the committee had watched. Hawaii's going to have that could help them out. Second, Marshall. Yes, that Marshall, the Thundering Herd, baby. Tony Gibson, okay, now has what he did not have in 2025, and that is returning production, something you've mentioned already. Yes. Quarterback Carlos Del Rio Wilson, what a name. Top 3 and 3 of his top 4 wide receivers return. Quality transfers coming into Marshall as well. 3 from West Virginia, 1 from Vanderbilt, Kentucky, NC State, and Iowa. But here's the real transfer. This is the transfer of the year. First, well, I wouldn't say first. Obviously, now he is at Marshall. Last year, he was at Central Connecticut State. The year before that, he was a Coastal Carolina Chanticleer, but before that, when he started his journey, he was a Notre Dame College Falcon. I'm talking about cornerback Braden Hall. Got to give some love there, man. Okay? A fellow Falcon there. Rest in peace, Notre Dame College. Shout out to Marshall. Marshall Thundering Herd.
Listen, I will never diss Marshall. I think that they are always a fun team to watch. And one of those teams that, weirdly enough, even though they are in a conference that no one cares about, and for the longest time, probably since the Big East, they're always a known commodity, and I think that's an amazing thing. And they always have some runs, too. Hawaii, I think the issue is that, like you said, that schedule might come back to bite them, and that's the thing. But I love some Micah. I will let you know that right now. I think he is the best quarterback they've had since I can't think of his name, but he put the rainbow in his hair. No, great thing there. All right. Thank you. Good pull.
Rest in peace, Colt Brennan. And shout out to Cuzzo's in the building as well. All right, Drew. Troy, San Diego State.
Yes. San Diego State, the other team, sorry, I'm losing my notes here. Here we go. The other team in the Mountain West. No, Pac-12. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind today. The other team in the Pac-12 that I think has a shot over the Boise State team that I'll talk about later and your Fresno State team. San Diego State is a name kind of we've talked about a lot on this show. I think you had an affinity for him for so long, but I think there's a good reason that San Diego State.
Yeah, the reason is I kept messing them up with San Jose State, and that was where I kept messing it up. But I was betting on them anyway. Sorry.
This San Diego State team has always been the top of the Mountain West, and that's why I confused the two because they were the ones that jumped. Always been the top of the Mountain West for the longest time. And I think that unlike, or kind of similarly, I should say, to UNLV, this move is going to help them in the Pac-12, right? Because unlike UNLV, this move kind of breaks them up from UNLV and leaves them with really Washington State and Boise State and sometimes Fresno State and Oregon State to worry about. This San Diego State team is consistent. The San Diego State team can win at home, unlike any other team, and can get some sneaky wins on the road. They were 6-0 last year at home. They had some great wins on the road. And now when you kind of look at the Pac-12 and kind of what it is with your Colorado States and your Texas States and your Utah States, those losses on the road can turn into wins. And that's when you see this team that goes 9-3, 9-4, turn into 10-2, 11-1, 12-0. And this is when you start to see them climb that rank and go, okay, the San Diego State team, they're a name. They are known. They are known to be consistent. They have that history of winning. And if you put it together and reduce some of those losses, I think that really shows the board this is a consistent team that now has taken the next step and can win those types of games. And for Troy, I have them second there. And I think it's only because if they can beat JMU, they're there. That's the only thing I think, right? And it's a tough task for them. But I think that's the only thing holding them behind. They have the offense, the explosive offense. This defense creates a lot of turnovers. They need to capitalize on the switch in coaching that JMU has, right? If JMU slips up a little bit, this Troy team can sweep up the Sun Belt and take this Sun Belt and potentially be in what JMU was last year. And that's the hope that I think they can pull through.
All right, let's speed through the rest of this. Drew, I am going to say just on behalf of America, shame on you. As you see, I have all 3 academies in my group of 6 favorites. Drew only has 1. However, we do have that one in common. Real quick, here's what I got about Navy. Braxton Woodson, 6.7 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns in 2 seasons of appearances. Don't talk about the passing touchdowns. It's Navy's offense, okay? Pay attention to the 6.7 yards per carry. Still not as good as Monte Taylor, but it's pretty good. 8 of 15 defenders with 200 or more snaps are back. That is a good thing for them. It's not as good as other teams, but it is good for an academy. Real quick, what you got on Navy?
Yeah, I think this American is wide open. I think all the top teams, North Texas, Tulane, South Florida, lost a lot of their offense, either the transfer or the draft, where Navy stayed consistent. That's what you're going to get out of an academy, right? They're going to stay there. And so because they're returning a bunch of guys and they didn't lose a bunch, and they were 11-2 last year, this American's wide open for them.
Love it. I also have the other academy up there, Air Force. Liam Zarska came in somewhat, I don't want to say halfway, about a third or away through the season, and that Air Force offense turned up to 31 points a game, a little bit more Air Force-like than we had seen last year, early on in the year before that. I really like this Air Force team to be a big contender in the Mountain West. Lastly, on this row, Drew, your New Mexico Lobos, make the case.
Yeah, listen, and this is kind of what I talk about with UNLV, right? You lost a lot of the contenders in the Mountain West that moved to the Pac-12, right? So it's UNLV and it's New Mexico for the most part. Obviously, Hawaii and Air Force, there are going to be some wild cards. But if we're talking consistent leaders of the Mountain West, it's UNLV and it's New Mexico. And so obviously these are going to be big rivals. They're going to play each other. New Mexico, if they can kind of stay consistent and keep up with this UNLV team throughout the season, that game's going to be huge. And I think that's going to be a toss-up game for New Mexico and UNLV. Obviously, I give the edge to UNLV, as you can tell, but I gave New Mexico their profit putting them up here because they can do it.
Absolutely. All right. Lastly, on my side, I only have one more, and that is Army in the American Conference. As you see, my 2 American teams were Army and Navy. Jeff Monken, in his 13th year, has quarterback Cale Helms back, and Carlos Del Rio Wilson. Great name. I'm about to level it up here. Fenway Bowl breakout star, God's Power Nawawahi. He's going to be the key, of course. I mean, someone in the Army named God's Power Nawawahi. I love this country. I love college football. 1-score games will be the key to Army season. Between 2017 and 2024, Army was 23-16 in 1-score games. They were 4-5 last year. If that trend rights itself just a bit, Army will be in the American Conference Championship, and we will have an opportunity to have Army-Navy week, Army-Navy Conference Championship. It would be the greatest thing ever. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, Memphis, I think, like I said, with Navy, has a great opportunity. People forget this Memphis team was ranked early on in the season before kind of a lot of slips. And so if they can learn, they did keep a lot of their players. If they can learn from those mistakes, win those close games that they lost, this is a team that has the talent to run through the American and take on Navy here. And so I think that's the same kind of message for Navy that I have. And for Boise State, in the Pac-12, Maddox Madsen is back at quarterback. A very up and down year last year, but those highs were very, very high. If you can get that offense right, that defense was stifling last year and won them a lot of games. And so if they can get it right, that team can take on and potentially beat a lot of teams in the Big 12 or Pac-12. Sorry.
I love it. All right, Drew, I'm driving. You're giving directions. Take us to the next conference.
Absolutely. Next one that kind of flipped from the Big 12 in terms of how many teams we think are going to make it, ACC.
Yes, and here we go. So the funny part is we have basically the opposite of what we had in the Big 12, as you said. Drew, it's pretty clear both of us have Miami the team that made it to the national championship game, the team that got in on Selection Sunday over my Irish. Obviously, I mean, this team is still loaded on defense. It's still loaded on skill positions. And poor Duke, just continue to get their quarterbacks taken. De'Aaron Mensah comes in from Duke. Miami expects to hit the ground running with everything that they had from that national championship game. I'm just going to point something out. We gave Carson Beck a lot of flack early last year when he threw his wide receivers under the bus. And then rightfully so, we showered him with credit and love when he was driving that team up and down the field throughout the college football playoffs to lead Miami to the national championship game. And let's be real, not far away from a national championship. Now he's lighting it up in Arizona for the Cardinals. That's not easy to replace now that you can take the step back and look at the totality of what a grown man in your offense brought. No offense to Mensah. He's not a grown man like Beck was. Beck was already in college for 7 years by the time he got to Miami. Question still for Miami, but the skill and the transfer portal and the recruits is still so far and above the rest of the SEC. This is clearing away their conference, correct?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think Mario Cristobal kind of has a lock on what it takes to win in the ACC now. And I think the question marks over every other team, I think, kind of puts them as a default top. So, no, I agree that you're going to have to see some players grow up really quickly and make a big impact. But if anyone in the ACC is going to have a team that does that, it's going to be Miami. And so I don't have a question whether or not they're going to be in the conversation at the end of the year. My question is where and what is the outcome going to be for this Miami team? Is it going to be like we saw in the past couple of years where they kind of stumble and sometimes get put in and sometimes don't? Or are we going to get the full experience where Miami comes in, guns blazing into the CFP and not have to get kind of let in?
We're going to zigzag through this because it'll make sense the way we do it. Louisville, a team I do not have on my list. You do.
Yeah, I think this is a case of they're going to get it done at some point, right? This Louisville team is so talented, and you can tell they have the talent to beat these big teams, right? These big name teams. They've done it over and over again and blown out teams. But Jeff Brom and this Louisville team have some tendencies just to drop the ball over and over and over again. It seems like anytime they are leading the ACC for the first time in the year, they lose that week. And so I love this Louisville team. I think they're so talented. I think they have so much potential. Please, dear God, don't become another Penn State. Make this trip. And if you can do it, we've seen Miami, these teams slip up at the end of the year. We don't know how Miami's rookies and their transfers are going to be. Make it happen.
The problem I have is, and this is what I'm not willing to bet on yet, because not everybody's Kurt Signetti, okay?
Yeah.
30-plus transfers a year and a new quarterback every year. Don't get me wrong. When you hit that, eventually you could hit the jackpot and you can make a run and go 12-0 and win the national championship. But that is such a roulette wheel that I do not want to put money in. I'm good. I'm staying away.
Fair. Very fair.
All right. A team that we both have just a bit out of order, and that is the SMU Mustangs. Everyone's got an underdog, right? I like this team. Quarterback Kevin Jennings, sneaky Heisman look if they are in the running. This is the same thing with Fafita. This is the same thing with other guys. If these teams are going to be in play, their quarterback is going to have to play outstanding enough, and he's going to be in the Heisman conversation. I do not have this in my hot take, so I will say it. This is going to be a better year of quarterback play than we saw last year. I'm going to tell you that right now. Mark that down. That's a hot take for free, not even in the segment. I like this team. 2 coordinators left, Casey Woods to Missouri State and Scott Simons to my Cowboys. And there's a reason I mentioned this because I think this can actually help SMU. Rob Likens, Garen Justice, and De'Eric King, if you're a Georgia Tech fan, that name should be familiar to you. They are all going to share the role of offensive coordinators. Maurice Crum Jr., another name you might know, and Ricky Hunley Jr., another name you might know because I'm old, will do so on defense. So coordinator by committee almost. He believes in the culture of what he built, doesn't need one guy, going to split it up. If it works, SMU is going to be in the ACC championship game. If that does not work, SMU will be down towards the bottom of the ACC. Not that far, but.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And listen, SMU has a lot going for them, right? 60% returning. They're in the top 25, I believe, in returning production. Had a great year last year, especially early on. And this is, I'm going to throw shade at my own team here. SMU, unfortunately, is not in a conference like the Big 12 where at any given day, a team can beat anyone. The HC is a little bit like that, but not as big as the Big 12 is.
Right.
And the issue with SMU is when you get down to late in the season and exterior factors matter. That's where it gets tough. Let me list off the last 4 games of SMU's schedule. Virginia Tech, home. Wake Forest, home. Notre Dame, on the road. Stanford, on the road. Virginia Tech, you have them. Brand new team, baby. We got an influx of transfers. We got an amazing head coach.
Hey, easy.
No, I know.
It's not yours. Get out of my bag.
It's a tough team to play. Wake Forest, regardless of how they are every year, they're always a tough team to play. SMU Stadium ranks second to last in capacity. When you are in the last stretch of the season and you're tired and you're hanging on and you need an exterior factor to win you some games, a 17th out of 18th ranked stadium capacity is not going to help you against Virginia Tech or Wake Forest. So that maybe you can slip one to Notre Dame, or maybe you can have a rusty one against Stanford. That's where I think SMU lacks, and that's why I have them third. Because I think the other two teams have that advantage over SMU, and I think that's where they slip up, and that's what they did last year, and I predict them to do the same thing this year.
I don't disagree with you, especially when you're talking about some of those teams in the ACC that have some of the most legit home field advantages in Florida State, in Virginia Tech, and in Clemson, the 3 teams that I have on my list that you do not have, which is funny. One of them was almost left off, I will say, but I'm going to give some benefit of the doubt here. Number one, because we consistently shade the ACC, and then towards the end of the year, there's multiple ACC teams involved. Florida State. Ashton Daniels in at quarterback from Auburn, a kid I like. Mike Norvell, for all of the rightful crap that has been piled on him, the ship went underwater. And he's done his best to get it back above water. And I think this year it starts to get moving again. I'm not saying they're going to blow through the ACC and they're back to Florida State. But I think we're going to start to actually see a Florida State that we're going to go, oh, okay. A team that's back, maybe you could say. I don't officially have a team that's back, so I'll put it on Florida State. Here's your second free hot take. Florida State, your team that's back. I like them. Do you have a quick comment on Florida State, or can I move on?
A team coached by Mike Norvell right now, I can never put into a CFP favorite just because I've seen just the lack of cohesion on a team that doesn't have an MVP caliber quarterback.
I get it. Virginia Tech. Same thing we talked about with James Madison. Right guy, wrong place. Right guy, right place. James Franklin in at Virginia Tech. We talked about it last year. I said I loved this hire the day that it happened, when it was rumored. I love it. This is a match made in heaven. I mean, I think this is the perfect guy. The difference between Billy Napier and James Franklin was Billy Napier failed at Florida. James Franklin just couldn't win the one game at Penn State they needed him to win. He took the right – both of these guys took the right steps back to the right teams, and they're going to be and they're going to be something. Clemson, there is only one reason, Drew, that they are on this list, okay? And that is because Dabo Swinney finally dipped into the transfer portal. Only 10, but you know what? For a Clemson team that has been good, but not enough depth to be great anymore, 10 guys I'll take. I'll put them with Dabo, and we'll see what happens. 2 new coordinators, both offense and defensive guys gone. However, the offense hasn't been great. The defense hasn't been great. So maybe not necessarily a bad thing. It would be of a top team losing those coordinators. An ACC contender by default.
Yeah, and I think I could have put them fourth because I think out of any team, I'd go, yeah, of course they'd be there at the end of the season. It's going to be Clemson. That team, like I can't trust them anymore. I can't trust a coach that, even though he did dip in the portal, is so hard-headed that he just, even like in the portal and on the field, makes mistakes in spite of himself.
Him going to the portal is why he's here. If this doesn't go well, they're out next year. And he might be out next year.
And a team that if they weren't 3-9 last year, I would have put them in, is Virginia Tech. I agree with you. I love this James Franklin hire. I'm going to watch every home game because now that home game is going to actually feel awesome because they're going to be a well-coached and great team. I think it takes a year before they get to this level. I don't think you can, even in transfer portal era and NIL era, I don't think a 3-9 team can make it to this the CFP in 1 year.
I understand. All right. Where are we driving to next? Where's my directions?
And this one, it's going to be a little quick because we don't have a lot of teams in here. Big Ten.
Ooh, I have more than you, which is funny. Drew, this is the first time that we have both of the same top 2 teams. We clearly think that Ohio State and Oregon are the runaway winners of the Big Ten. So we'll have a fun conversation about the other 2. So, I mean, Ohio State is the most complete team in college football. This is, and I mean, hello. I mean, I know it's preseason. Hold on.
You don't want to talk about it, but
we will talk about it. I believe they're the most complete team in college football. Unless you've been living under a rock. I know it's football season. I know it's preseason. I know you're getting ready for your fantasy drafts. But Ohio State is clearing away the favorites.
Yeah.
A Heisman performance and a team that met that team in the national championship game are the only blemishes on Ohio State's resume. That's not a bad season. I know it's not great by Ohio State standards, but I will say, though, the schedule is tough. Week 2, Texas, and then road trips in consecutive weeks to Indiana, USC, and Iowa. The biggest key for Ohio State is this right here, and I'll throw it to you for Ohio State. They had the slowest tempoed offense in all of college football last year with a quarterback who finished top 5 in the Heisman. Take the reins off and let it go, Ryan Day.
Absolutely. Listen, he was my Gunslinger award winner last year, to your dismay. The kid's got it. No, you're absolutely right. This is the most complete team in college football. The issue is the most complete teams in college football rarely win close games, right? The games that Ohio State loses are the close games where they don't have the moment. And I don't think that's on the players. And I think that the issue that's going to come with Ohio State, not to win the Big Ten, because I think that's something that I think they can do relatively easily as long as they get over Oregon, is when they get to these close games where a team is fighting them tooth and nail and hitting them back with punches that they're punching with. Ohio State, and specifically Ryan Day, do not let their best players shine in the best moments. And I understand it, right? In 95 to 99% of all games and all times, the collective is going to win you the game. And that's usually how you have to play. When there's 30 seconds on that clock, throw it up to Jeremiah Smith. Throw it up to your best players. Make them win, have them win the game. It's how Indiana won against Penn State last year. It's how Miami won against all those teams. Let your best players shine. And if Ryan Day can figure that out, this team can win a national championship game. If they can't, and they come up against a team like Oregon or BYU or any other team that we're going to mention, it's potential and almost likely that another heartbreak is coming for Ohio State fans because they are the best team in college football. That doesn't matter in college football sometimes. And that's what's important.
It's a great point. We're so in the moment sometimes as sports fans, and it's why we like to do the show the way that we do, that we can't step back ever. We're too in the moment. So no one's going to, although if you talk to certain Ohio State fans, they will tell you about their dislike of Ryan Day. But for the most part, Ryan Day is going to get all the love and credit because they've won.
Yeah.
But we've seen way too many teams after the fact that we've looked at and said they've won in spite of that coach. And Ohio State is one of them. When Ohio State is winning national championships is because the coaching staff around Ryan Day is so damn good with along the talent, add it together. He doesn't have to make crucial late game decisions because when he does, they're not good. That's it. Ryan Day, you trip. It's up to you. Don't trip. You trip, your team's going to trip. You don't, it is what it is. And now, something I said last year that now gets brought up. I said, stop treating this Michigan game like it's the Super Bowl. It trips your team up. Just play it like every other game, and you'll win it. What did they do last year? They won it. What did the new Michigan head coach say? Hey, it's just another game. Listen to this guy over here. He knows what he's talking about. All right, the second team on our list, the clear number 2 in the Big Ten to both of us, the Oregon Ducks. Drew, Dan Lanning had to replace both coordinators. A lot of that this year, obviously. These guys all go get jobs. But Dante Moore is back for another year, which was surprising. But either way, when will it fall together for these Ducks? Why not now? Another loaded team and a not so tough top to bottom Big Ten as it is most years. This should be the Big Ten championship game.
I absolutely agree. Dan Lanning is the best motivator in college football, in my opinion.
I like that.
The issue is that Oregon sometimes needs more than motivation to win football games. Because, listen, Oregon is talented. This team is loaded with draft picks. Like I said about Ohio State, there's more to that there's more to winning games than talent. And in terms of Oregon, it is what can I do to figure out a tough defense or to figure out an offense that keeps scoring on me. And that's been Oregon and Dan Lanning's problem since they've gotten into the Big Ten. Oregon is super talented at running their system, and if their system works, they're putting up 70 on you. If Oregon's system is kind of struggling and really can't really find a way to either stop a defense or get through or stop an offense or get through a defense, there's no switch. There's no change in how they run and how they adapt. And that's what Dan Lanning, I think, needs to evolve as a coach. Dan Lanning is an amazing coach. Dan Lanning's young. Dan Lanning is not experienced in how to switch and change and adapt and take down a team when the first or second option isn't working. And if they can figure that out, I think they can beat Ohio State. I think they can make a national championship run. But that needs to be the key.
Dan Lanning is all gas, no brakes. We've got to learn to just pull down a little bit. If you could take a bit of Dan Lanning's fire and switch it out with a little bit of Ryan Day's calmness, and more
Those are dangerous.
That would be one of that. His name is Nick Saban. I agree with everything that you said about the Oregon Ducks. The third team on my list comes with an asterisk, Indiana. This is an advanced version of why Clemson was on my list. First of all, Kurt Cignetti, we cannot crown him as the best coach in college football and then tell me that his team is still not a favorite coming into the next year. The problem is what Cignetti did at Indiana is remarkable. He now has to do something that a lot of coaches, it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's real fun to be in the no one has ever done this mode because it gives you a bit of swagger. It gives you a bit of confidence. Cignetti, now you have to do what a lot of coaches that have been tasked to do and have failed. And only the really, really good ones have done. That's win when you've won.
Yeah.
Mendoza's gone. But here are the boxes checked in favor of Indiana. The transfer class is better than last year's, and that's effing scary. Because that transfer class was a big reason. Josh Hoover from TCU is not the worst way to go after Fernando Mendoza. And technically, in terms of where he was as a college quarterback, Josh Hoover is more advanced than what Mendoza was when they stepped into the lineup. Now, we know what Mendoza became, but I'm just saying. So that, and I got two names for you to watch. Nick Marsh from Michigan State, wide receiver. I liked him when I was watching those crazy Michigan State wild 34-40 games. That was a name. And Shaz Preston, a name to watch for as well. If those weapons develop, Indiana's in the play in the Big Ten. They host Ohio State, which is a big one for them as well. Quickly, your thoughts on Indiana?
I like this Indiana team. They're going to be good. You lost 8 players in the draft. You lost 14 players in the transfer portal. And you don't have the easy schedule you had last year where you kind of cakewalked it until you had to beat a Penn State team that wasn't that good, and you barely beat them, and you won because Ohio State slipped up in the national championship game. And so I think a lot of things fell Indiana's way to Big Ten championship. Sorry, a lot of things fell Indiana's way to get them into the CFP, and then that stability kind of moved them through. I don't think those things are going to fall that way, and consistency, like I said, only gets you so far.
That's a lot of luck. That's a lot of things having to go your way. Even with the good Saban Alabama teams, it was hard to repeat. The great Georgia teams, hard to repeat. The great Clemson teams that would, would go back and forth with those Alabama teams, still hard to repeat. Hard to win when you're supposed to, as Dad just said.
Exactly.
Lastly, real quick, USC. Drew? What has been the difference between the USC teams of the early 2000s that won national championships and the difference between the USC teams now that are just on the cusp? If you don't give the right answer, I'm going to punch you.
I was going to say a quarterback.
Yes, but I got a bigger answer. The defenses.
Yeah.
If USC would just get a defense, they would be in contention for college football playoff rankings, or for a college football playoff berth year in and year out. Steve, my man Sarkisian, or not Sarkisian. Lincoln Riley has been able to get quarterbacks. Jaden Malia comes back, wide receiver 10, Tanook Hines, another great name, all right, are there. Lincoln Riley went out and hired Gary Patterson, formerly of TCU, to fix up that defense. He brought in a grown man coach with some experience. Drew, if he can do just a little bit to that USC defense, USC will be in play for the Big Ten.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think last year they tremendously jumped on defense last year. And so I think the idea is starting to like kind of who they want, what scheme they want to run, and like the overall message that he's giving to Lincoln Riley's getting to the defense, I think is working in some extent. So I think they're going to be in that upper tier of the Big Ten. I think Lincoln Riley has hit his ceiling.
Ooh.
I think Lincoln Riley is a great offensive schemer and a great recruiter. I think when it comes to taking the reins of an organization that is as big and notable and prestigious as USC, I think he's out of his depth. And I think that's the reason why USC is not on my list, because I don't think the job is too big for him.
Wow, that's a hot take. Drew coming with his own hot takes this year. That is a hot take. Not so fast, my friend. We'll clip this because this is a good one. I think the only difference between Lincoln Riley and Dan Manning is the check that they can write at USC and the Nike check that they can write at Oregon. I don't think there's
and that's not a bad thing to say, because
but you would never say that Dan Lanning's out of his
because Oregon's not USC.
And that's only and I get that, but that doesn't, I don't think that means, because if you're telling, then that means they're the same exact coach.
In essence, I think they are, because if you gave Lincoln Riley Oregon's budget, I think their ceiling is what Oregon does every year.
I like that. We'll come back to this. This will be a fun one to review and a fun one to touch on later. All right, Drew, there's only one conference left.
Mm-hmm. I saved it for last. It's the SEC. Ken, you got damn near the whole conference as a favorite, and I understand why, but we'll talk about that kind of bottom three, because we got the same top four, just in different orders.
Contrary to what people might believe, the SEC is as crazy as like the Big 12 and the Conference US. It is wild week in, week out of who could win. So here's my thing, and this is kind of how I did this. I didn't just put a team in that I thought could win. I put in a team in that I thought could be legit. I think there's 4 legit teams in the Big 10, and that's it. I think there are 2 legit teams in the Big 12, and that's it. I think there are a lot of really good teams in the SEC. Now, We'll get the easy one out of the way. Georgia, number 1 in both of our books. Here we go. Kirby Smart, check. A top 5 defense, check. Gunnar Stockton in big plays to get them over the hump to the big dance, check. That's the only issue for Georgia. I know you're good. I know you got athletes everywhere. I know you got top 5 picks. I know you have all that. Can Gunnar Stockton produce enough explosive plays for you to win a national championship? Those are the questions for Georgia. Anything else?
You kind of hit that. No, you hit that entirely. Georgia is Georgia. I think everyone who watches this show knows exactly what they're getting out of Georgia.
Now, for the second row, we both go to the state of Texas, but we split off and we go different ways. I have Texas as the second best team in the SEC. You have Texas A&M. I have Texas A&M fourth. We'll get to our Texas A&M dispute first. We'll start with Texas. Arch Manning for Heisman or bust. I know this sounds like last year, but you know what? The kid's in college. I've got no stake in this game. I'm going to ride with this until it doesn't work. I've got to believe it comes together. Arch Manning led quarterbacks in QBR from like week 7 or 8 on. So the Arch Manning that, yes, did not start very well was not the Arch Manning that finished the season. Here's another one for you. Will Muschamp, now in there on the coaching staff for Texas. Can he help upset his former mentor, Kirby Smart? But this is what it comes down to Texas. I said you were back a couple years ago. You are back. You were back. Enough of the talent and the potential, more winning.
Yeah. And listen, I think them not being as highly touted of a team this year is going to help them, right? I don't think the pressure is on like it was last season. It's going to be there because Texas will always have that pressure. True. But to compare it to another Texas team, the Dallas Cowboys, when you had your 10-6 year or your 11-5 years, but you missed the Super Bowl, the next year that pressure was immense to get back to that and to supersede it. Where when you went 5-11, 7-9, 8-8, it was like, well, let's see what we get from Dallas. Maybe internally you're going to get that pressure because you want the team to succeed. But like Texas, it's now really only the inside and then maybe a couple other people on the outside.
First of all, F you. Second of all, NFL's next week. Third of all, you're not wrong. Texas A&M.
Well, let me touch on Texas as the last point. Two last points. One, I think this also shows us what we think of Arch Manning.
Yes.
I truly believe Arch Manning is someone that has not shown, other than maybe a game, that he is ready for this level of hype that he's getting. And obviously he can prove me wrong this year, but up until this point, happened. And I've also never been a fan of Steve Sarkisian, and I will not continue to be. And I think there's better coaches on my list, and that's a massive reason why they have them at 4.
Steve Sarkisian is the better of Dan Lanning and Lincoln Riley all standing next to each other in the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. Sark is just a little bit better. This is going to come down to, and I do agree with you. This is what we think of Arch Manning. Texas A&M. I have them 4th in the SEC. You have them 2nd. Mike Elko, QB, Marcelo Reed are all back. They did lose some skill wide receiver to your Cleveland Browns, but they're back. They have got to embrace this underdog role, play spoiler, and show the rest of the SEC they're shedding their old persona. What I need Texas A&M to do is become what they don't have. You're not going to reach those heights. But be that Clemson team from a couple years ago that started to shed that, it's Clemson, they're not going to win the big game. A&M, go win a college football playoff game, just one. Show the rest of the SEC you're a player.
No,
and not just a recruit.
Right. And that's the main thing here, right? For years, Mike Elko was the guy who could recruit. He did it at Duke, and then he did it when he started at A&M. Couldn't get it, right? We know A&M's going to throw money at everything. And then last year happened. And everyone went, this A&M team's going to lose. They're going to figure out a way to lose. And they kept not losing. And so A&M now, one, has the budget to get these players, but also has the status that it's growing to get the players that maybe, a year or two ago or even previous ago, A&M's going to get me money, but I want to play for Georgia. I want to play for LSU. I want to play for Texas. Now they go, A&M's got the money, and they're going to make it there. They can do it. And I think that's the difference here. Mike Elko is a fantastic coach, a branch of the Notre Dame tree, defensive coordinator for a year. I'll give you that one.
Loved Elko.
And now you can tell he's a recruiter, but he's also the motivator. And so this A&M team is talented. We saw it last year. Marcel Reed has another year under his belt and is going to be, I think, honestly, a Heisman candidate this year. I think he's fantastic. And I think if this team can gel with the new talent that they have, this is a dangerous team. And I love a good story. And Mike Elko leading this team into an SEC championship game and a CFP is a great story.
And then potentially playing Notre Dame, his former team. Look at you. Hot takes and stories from the other side of the broadcast or podcast booth today. I love it. We both have LSU at number 3. Here is how we're going to talk about this conversation. And I'm going to do something that we never do. 3 weeks from now, you circle it on your calendar. September 19th at 7:30. But you tune in about 6:30. An hour out. I'm not joking. LSU travels to Ole Miss. That's it. What else do I have to say? Lane Kiffin goes back to Ole Miss with some of his coordinators, coaching against some of his other coordinators. Love it. Here, this short and sweet for LSU for me. A brutal schedule. Okay. However, a record amount of NIL money and transfer portal money spent this year. No one turns a program around quicker than Lane Kiffin. Look what he did at Ole Miss. They were already good. Or they were already great. They just weren't elite. Lane Kiffin has that opportunity, and this is what it is. This is what it comes down to. And I think he started to do it during the CFP. Just embrace being a villain.
Yeah.
Just do it. Lane, they already started to paint you as the villain, and he took it on, and he ran his mouth, and he talked some stuff, and he gave interviews during game, blah, 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 blah. Man, that whole locker room, just embrace it. You already kind of have that with LSU where, they can kind of carry that swagger that other teams don't like. Just embrace it fully and be the villain.
Yeah, and it sucks. Because if we're being honest, when we look at head coach or LSU, I should say, before Brian Kelly, LSU was the fun, cool team to root for in the SEC.
Ed Orgeron, Joe Burrow.
Les Miles before that, Nick Saban before that. They were the cool team to root for. And now we got a guy who is taking guys from the NFL, which we're not even going to talk about this thing because that's going to take another half an hour if we want to talk about that. Taking guys from the NFL, ripping dudes from programs that he has left. It's
leaving
not
his team before a college football playoff game.
That I didn't want to get into because I ranted on that enough.
Yep, that's right.
The issue is Lane Kiffin is that guy, right? Ever since he left that Alabama stint, Florida Atlantic, great program when he was there. Ole Miss, first time in the CFP ever. And now he's got LSU money to back it up. This team is primed for a run. The issue is you are going to get every team, and especially Ole Miss's, best game because they don't want you to win. They want you to fall flat on your face. And so they're going to win some games because Lane Kiffin is a great head coach and he has a talented team. There's going to be some games, especially that Ole Miss game, where Lane Kiffin's coaching prowess is going to be put to the test. And that's where we're going to see if he is truly elevated from his years at Oakland and Tennessee and all that. So we will see.
It's a four-man Spider-Man meme. Just throw Lane Kiffin in there with Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, and Lincoln Riley. Just put them all in there. I do agree with you, but just remember, Superman is nothing without Lex Luthor. And there's a couple episodes and a couple movies where Lex Luthor wins. So just be Lex Luthor and hope this is your year. Real quick, I'll run through the rest of them. Oklahoma. I mean, this is what it comes down to. Last year, when John Mateer was healthy, Oklahoma was being penciled into the college football playoffs. If he's healthy, they're a contender no matter what. If he's not, they're mid. That's it for Oklahoma. Ole Miss, Trinidad James, Chambliss, and interim head coach Pete Golding, former Lane Kiffin staff member, were one play away from a national championship appearance. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
They're all back. Kawan Lacey's back. Ole Miss can be a player. If they can, I'll tell you this. If they can win that LSU game and ride that momentum, they can be a player. If they win that game and it's too exhausting, they could be in trouble. Lastly, out of respect, like Clemson and I did Indiana, yeah. Alabama will always be in play in some way in the SEC. Ryan Williams is great, but if Alabama can't run the ball and if they can't get some consistent quarterback play, they're not going to be good regardless of being in play because they can still pull it off any given Saturday. Keelan Russell to Ryan Williams. That's got to be twice a game for Alabama for them to be a contender. That is what the connection you're looking for there. I'm done with the SEC.
No, I think you're right. I think it's all on a tier for Oklahoma, so we'll see what happens there. I honestly think it's not going to be a Heisman year for him, so that's why I didn't have them. Ole Miss, my biggest question is how much of that run last year was motivation and spite? And I think that's kind of what trips them up here is I don't think they have the motivation other than the LSU game. And I think that's what trips them up. And then I am out on Kalen DeBoer as a SEC head coach. I think he succeeds in the Big 12, in the ACC, in the Pac-12, in the Big 10. He's not built for the SEC type of environment. I think that's why I don't have him on there.
You could have two prominent programs. Let me offer you this. It doesn't happen, but it could happen in a sense. Right now, Clemson picks up the phone and calls Alabama and says, swap me head coaches. Take Dabo Swinney and put him at Alabama. Put Kalen DeBoer and put him over in Clemson. And I think we're having two different conversations.
I absolutely agree.
I love that. All right, Drew. There's only one team left. Oh, you didn't make me a graphic? That's okay.
I assumed you were going to make your 1,000 gestures and have a poster. Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
That's all I need. Miss Independent, Notre Dame, Fighting Irish.
You content too.
I mean, I'll keep this short and sweet. I have Marcus Freeman. I should be okay. CJ Carr is back. Was really starting to light it up once we got through basically that Miami game, honestly. Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse, top wide receivers back. Yes, the running back room doesn't have Jeremiah Love and Jadeveon Price, but I think we'll be okay with what we have. Shout out to the kids of former NFL players with Jerome Bettis, Ryan Clark, Plaxico Burress, Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald's kid can catch the ball. He looks so much like Larry Fitzgerald when he runs too. The biggest thing for me, Chris Ash's defense. We've talked about this. I've mentioned this stat multiple times, this 200-plus snap thing. It's something that they keep track of. Notre Dame returns 14 of 20 players who saw 200-plus snaps on that defense. That is great. A good transfer portal as always. A good recruiting class as always. And here, I'll be honest, a softer schedule than last year. It's not great. It's not great. However, there's a Week 7 matchup with BYU. There is a Week 10 matchup where we get Miami back and we get them at home. And then we also have the SMU game later on in the season. We take care of business. We're in the top 12. We're guaranteed a spot in the CFP. Go out and take care of it. I know you don't like it. I don't either. I would really, that's going to be a narrative for me on my own to bring up to. I want to see this Notre Dame team well above that 12th or what is it, 13th, whatever it is, the weird number, that we don't get this automatic bid that we basically negotiated behind the scenes with the rest of the CFP. I want to see us go and earn it. They have the tools to do that and to be a player.
Ken, I think this is the first time that I am expecting, I think, of your Notre Dame team, because for all the Brian Kelly years, right? It was you won the small games for 99% of the time, and then the big games, especially rivalries, it was a letdown a lot of time. Then Marcus Freeman came in, and you could tell what he was trying to establish, but there was some rough patches. With Northern Illinois, the national championship game against Ohio State, these kind of things, right? You saw the blueprint last year in full effect. And I think that's exactly what's going to remain this year. Obviously, you don't have Jeremiah Love, and that's going to be a big hit against you. The defense is going to be just as good, if not better. Your quarterback, which is the first time I think I'm going to be able to say this, is supposed to be good this year. It's not a question mark. He is supposed to take the step and be good. This is a team that if they don't make the semis at minimum, it's a failure of a season.
I agree.
And so obviously that brings pressure and expectations. This is the first time Notre Dame's had these kind of expectations in a long time.
Yes, because for the first year, it isn't, hey, Notre Dame's got a good team. They could win it all. It's, hey, Notre Dame's got a really good team. They should be there. So I
Yes.
agree with you there. The gamble here and what you're hoping for is the reason we wanted in the college football playoff so damn bad last year. Obviously, everybody wants in to have a chance, is because we felt like we had a running back room that was better than any defensive line that was in the
Yeah.
entire college football playoffs, and we could beat any team there. We also all knew, as Notre Dame fans, that the rest of this offense and the rest of this defense were going to be great this year. The problem was we were hoping one of them would stay, maybe both of them. Neither did. It is what it is. You can replace that running back room to at least a C+ to B- level. I'll see you in the Natty. If not, it's going to be some problems.
No, you're absolutely right. Obviously, you're 90% of your 95% of your years, you're going to have a good offensive line, and so that's not going to be the problem. It is solely, can these young running backs develop? And it shows that they can, right? You have now done this multiple years. With multiple running backs, let's see if this can continue. Because if it can, I agree.
All right, Drew. I don't mean to put you on the spot, so if you don't have anything, that's okay. But what do you? The floor is yours. I don't know where I'm going. Am I taking over with hot takes, or are you debuting your new college football segment?
So I'm going to talk about it. I don't have a graphic because it was really weird to kind of think about. I've had my things in the past, right? We had the jaunty Heisman race. We had the year of the quarterback that unfortunately did not pan out great because all of them that I thought were going to be good didn't play so well. Crazy there.
Which created for better segment, though, because you were able to find some names to bring out.
No, you're absolutely right. I want to get away from the players this year because I think we're going to talk players this year, but I think, because we've had this discussion, I think our discussion yesterday or 2 days ago had a big impact on what we were talking about. We're not going to delve into some scores this year, right? We're gonna hit you with the big games, and then we're gonna go over it. I want to highlight a team. So what I'm going to do each week is I'm going to give you my team of the week. And what my stipulation on mine is, it cannot be a team that we mentioned in our preview.
Okay, I like it. I like this. This is good stuff. So what a lot of people don't know is we're going to make a couple changes behind the scenes. Ken has spent the last 12 weeks, way longer than that, but the last 12 weeks making reels for the Rapids and cutting up highlights. So every week, instead of me putting up that big old graphic with all 25 teams and us going list by list, I'm just going to make us a little reel to highlight the scores of that week. And then when we get to our preview, I'll make another one that kind of highlights those games of the week so we can dive in and do what we do best. I give you hot takes. He apparently gives you hot takes this week, and we can dive in with some stats. So I like that. So coming next week.
Yeah.
Next week, Drew's team of the week. We'll find a better name. That's not his part of the show. That's my part of the show, but that's fine with me. All right. Well, that leaves me, right? So that's on me. Okay. I'm going to use this opportunity to take a bathroom break, but you'll understand why as we get ready for this year's hot takes. Let's take a look back. It is time for Ken's college football hot takes. Now, if you need a reminder, that's what I'm here for. Year one, I gave you Michigan winning the national championship. I told you Alabama would squeak in with one loss. That first year, I told you Texas was back. Last year, I told you the U was back. Last year, I told you the Pac-12 would be okay in the Big Ten, and they were. Year, I told you that Notre Dame would make the college football playoffs. The ACC is coming for you. And that's a team that's back. And that's a team that was formerly good and is ready to be back.
Okay. Oh, no. I want hot takes. I want takes that you believe in and you go, no, I don't care what everyone else says. This is going to happen. And that's exactly what that is. I'm ready for more. Woo.
Freshmen, get out. Well, or you could say the birth of parity in college football. I think gone are the years of undefeated seasons. And I think the national championships are going to start to be spread out.
Hey, to be honest, you got most of them. I'm not even going to fault you the undefeated season, gone are the years, because no one is projecting Indiana to do that.
It was funny, though, that it was the same year. I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely, and I blew it with Nebraska last year.
Yeah.
I did try to ride it out as long as I could to the end and lost a lot of money for it. But hey, I'm kind of good.
Hey, you put your money where your mouth is, and I respect that.
Absolutely. So, the first couple years, somewhat of a tame theme. I have given you almost every year teams that are back. I told you this year, Florida State. But I decided to do a little different last year. And the funny part is Drew, I told you, I wasn't sure if I was going to do hot takes. I wasn't sure. And then I got rolling and I started doing my notes and they came to me. And then a theme came to me. Last year, as you saw in the clips, we had a Halloween theme. Halloween had come early. This year, my theme is faces and places. Let's start. Your first big bro hot take. If I can get my graphics to add to the stage.
It's showing on my screen.
Oh, it is not showing on my screen, which is going to be a problem. I need.
Oh, and that is why. I see now why. Oh, wow. He is completely gone. Well, I'll prep him. JMU, Florida, losing their head coaches. Kind of swapping here. So, looks like Billy Napier to JMU is going to be a big one. Here we go. We see now why it kicked you out. I was prepping everyone for the show, for what your takes were going to be. Looked like old coach or old place to new place for head coaches.
We'll see if this works. Here we go. We here?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take care of that. All right, we're back in. My hot takes. Places and faces. New face, right place. Both James Franklin, Billy Napier, as we've talked about this show, fired from Penn State and Florida. Hired by Virginia Tech and JMU. We've both championed these hires, have said this is the perfect guy in the perfect place. Billy Napier, not good at all at Florida. Step a little further back. Take a JMU program that's already loaded in its conference and in its spot, ready to go. James Franklin, you just didn't win the big one at Penn State. Remember what you did at Vanderbilt. Go to Virginia Tech. Do that same thing at Penn State, and you'll be a god there. Also, don't forget Billy Napier. Before he got to Florida, had that Raging Cajun offense lighting up teams in Conference USA. He's familiar with these opponents. But we already talked about all that. Where's the hot take, Ken? Here's your hot take. Within 2 years, both of these guys will be in and or win their conference championship. Mark it. James Franklin at Virginia Tech will be an immediate player in the ACC, and JMU will continue to run that conference as they will.
All right. I like it. I'm nervous. I'm honestly more nervous about the Billy Napier one because I think James Franklin is a proven commodity. Billy Napier has been that kind of up and down in certain places. Can he right his own ship going to JMU? I think he can. but I think it's more of a risk, and I like it.
I went with 2 for each of these, which is a gamble on my part. Go big or go home. Hot take number 2. New place, new face. The Fresno State Bulldogs will win the Pac-12 championship. The Big Ten championship will be taken over by 2 former members of the Pac-12, Oregon versus USC in the Big Ten championship. It's a Pac-12 takeover.
I can understand the Pac-12 because I think even though they're coming from the Mountain West, I think those teams are good enough to face Washington State and Oregon State, so I can see that. That Big Ten one is crazy.
It is a crazy hot take. Do you know why?
But I like it. But I like it.
You know why it's a crazy hot take? Because it requires my next one to come true. Old face in a new place, and that's going down. I believe both Ohio State and Alabama, for different reasons, will both stumble. I don't think Alabama will make the college football playoffs. I think Ohio State will rely on one of the lower seeded bids if they were to get in. Why? Ken, are you just being a hater on 2 of the biggest programs of the last century? No. We've talked about it with Alabama. I don't think the running game gets fixed overnight. I don't think that this quarterback can, with one wide receiver, can just do everything. And I don't think that DeBoer is a good coach for Alabama. Therefore, an old face in a new place, which is not playing very well. Ohio State, I believe because of the coordinator losses, Ryan Day will not be able to navigate the schedule. I think Ohio State is talented. I think it's too tough of a challenge to trot this kids, because that's what they are, to trot kids out, and especially at Ohio State with that turnover. I don't think it's possible for them to trot that team out week in and week out and survive that many road trips, that many big games. If they do, I'll take my L, but I just think it's too much to handle. I think Ohio State and Alabama take a bit of a step back this year, and that is why I have Oregon and USC in the Big Ten championship.
It's not like the Alabama one. I think we can agree on. It's not crazy for Ohio State. They have Texas. They have Illinois, who's been good recently. They have Iowa, who's projected to be good. They have Indiana. They have USC. They have Oregon, and then obviously that Michigan at the end of the year. That's a tough schedule. It used to not be. 2-3 years ago, if you told me they played Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, you'd go, okay, those are 3 chalk wins. Those aren't wins anymore, guaranteed. And Texas, obviously, it's always going to be good. Michigan's always going to play them tough. For 2 losses, and they're out of the Big Ten championship game. 3 losses, and they're out of the entire thing.
And it's not those aren't losses to, like you said, to shake your head at. I have one more. I've embraced a role on this show in which I can have hot takes that hit, but I have some fun ones that don't always come true. Case in point, Nebraska. Case in point, me saying it was the Cowboys' year, and Drew got to keep a really funny graphic that only lasted like 3 weeks before.
No, it was a week.
A week. I've been humble. I talk about my teams with clarity, and I'm done. Notre Dame's going to win the national championship, and CJ Carr's winning the Heisman.
Wow.
Done.
And the funny thing is, it's not crazy. It's not. But listening to you, of all people, claim that, and immediately, if I text you next Saturday going, I am so nervous beyond belief for whoever scrub team you're playing that week, it's going to be the funniest thing, because you are going to basically go from this to the most pessimistic fan in the world the second you don't score on your first drive.
You're not wrong. But listen, I've been the only Notre Dame prediction I've ever given, and I didn't actually have it in there, was that if I can't remember who his name is right now. If our quarterback had played 11 games, we would make the national championship, and we did that year. Actually, I need to add that in. That's another good prediction. But I never predict us win or lose, and I'm over it. And you all are the reason I'm over it, because if I came in here and said Notre Dame won't win the national championship, we're going to lose some, we're going to trip up at some, you guys would still give me crap, you'd still talk your shit, and you'd still make fun of me. So like Lane Kiffin should, I am just going to embrace the fact that you all call me the New York Yankees of college football. I already root for the New York Yankees of soccer. The only thing I don't root for is the actual New York freaking Yankees, but I'm just going to embrace it. Marcus Freeman is the best coach in college football. CJ Carr to the Heisman. Our defense is going to play like the 85 Bears. Our offense is going to play like the 2007 Patriots. Or I should say a Clemson team and a Georgia defense. Whatever. Notre Dame to the Natty. Get the hell out of our way. Go Irish.
You know, I'm glad. I'm truly glad you're like this, because one, it's going to make the pod so much better. But two, I am glad, because as a fan, the worst fan that I come across are ones that are continuously pessimistic about their team, right? Even in some Browns years, I'll be like, you know what? I like the potential on this team. Let's see what it can go. The worst kind of fan, in my opinion, is someone who thinks that inevitably they're going to be let down, and their reasoning is, I'd rather think of that in advance than to have hopes and be let down. Why? Why be miserable and anxious for 4 months out of the year when you could ride the highs, and then when the low inevitably comes, go, you know what? It was a great ride. And I'm glad you're finally adapting it. Until we get to week 1 and you're nervous again.
Yeah, so that's the problem.
Well, no, you're playing Wisconsin. You're going to drop 80 on Luke Fickell, so you're fine.
You'll still be more optimistic than me. I can't help how I am when I watch the games. I jokingly talked at work this week because somebody asked about watching games in public, and I said I actively try to never watch Notre Dame games in public. I have literally trick-or-treated Landon is 7. So 7 years now with our great friend of the show, our cousin Nate. At least 4 of those Halloweens have had a Notre Dame game, and we spend it walking on opposite ends of the group, watching our phones, just exchanging looks and yelling at each other. So I don't do that in public. But, man, let's do it. I'm going to ride it. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it rolls. Good. Thankfully, we don't update these predictions like that very often, other than towards either usually the middle of the year if something is really good or bad, or the end of the year. So hopefully we won't be updating it for very long. I'm out. I got nothing left on that one.
That was a great preview. I cannot wait for this weekend. I'm so excited.
Oh, real quick. And the best thing I did for the podcast was make my DraftKings open with my face. We've got football. Delaware State and Stony Brook are in overtime. Georgetown and Lafayette.
Stop it.
What do we got tonight? Central Arkansas and UT Martin. Long Island and North Dakota.
Oh my God.
Colgate and Fordham is tomorrow.
Are these college basketball games?
No, baby. They college football, baby. We back. Friday night at 10 o'clock, Idaho and Cal Poly. Ken will be there.
Oh, my God.
Watch it out.
Ken will be there.
All right, bro. Let's wrap it up real quick. Let's finish with some footy and get the people out here.
We can do it. The Prem is back. Thank God.
Is it?
Ken may not feel that belief because a newcomer has mauled Manchester United. If you don't know, Hull City, when they are up and going to win, their whole stadium gets paused out and says, "You're getting mauled by the Tigers." Ken, obviously, you can, if you want to touch on it, you can. I'll run through other scores really quickly. Manchester City Manchester City come back and beat Bournemouth 2-1 as ex-Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca saves a potential disastrous start to the season. Liverpool and Newcastle draw 2-2 as Liverpool just signed PSG striker Barcolo, so that attack should be better. We'll see what happens there. Chelsea win 3-2 in a game that shows exactly what this Chelsea is going to be. This team is going to be this year, a great attacking team and a horrible defensive team. So we'll see how that goes. Arsenal, the champions, make quick work of newcomers Coventry 3-0. Everton continue their impressive form at the end of the season and blank a team that I truly don't think is going to do that great this year. Crystal Palace 2-0.
Crystal Palace goes down this year. Crystal Palace goes down this year.
I think I agree. I have to look at what I put in our soccer chat. Ipswich, newcomers, also get a win 2-1 over Sunderland, who I also think is going to struggle this year. Leeds, blank. Nottingham Forest 1-0. Brentford continue to pile on poor Tottenham 3-0 at this point. It's so sad. And Brighton absolutely demolish Aston Villa 4-0. Ken, I woke up and put on this game and had to turn off at halftime because there wasn't a game to watch. This Villa team, especially defensively without Emi Martinez, is bad. And so we will see what happens. They got gutted offensively, and now they are pretty bad defensively. I think this Villa team goes back to kind of what they were previous years, where they were mid to lower mid-table. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to take a year and a lot of investment in them sticking by Unai Emery for to come back around. I would have so reveled in, obviously, me. Don't sleep on Colgate. I would have much more reveled in Aston Villa losing after I took Yuri talisman from him and Spurs just being Spurs. And then I went out and just decided to lay an absolute monster of an egg. Real disappointing. Really, really disappointing. This is the problem with this Manchester United team. And I'm going to reserve any sort of excitement and any sort of enthusiasm for this team until I see 5 to 6 other results, because this is what I'm tired of. The end of the seasons are great. The end of the season is we go on these tears, right that last third of the season and finish strong and go out in the off season and get these transfers in and get these guys in. And then we start the season like this. So Carlos Baliba comes in from Brighton as well. That is official. Trying to do maybe some other things at left back. Also reports from Real Madrid that they are now awaiting a bid from us for Camavinga. That would be great for this team. But nonetheless, get some freaking results. I'm over it.
Fair. I will say, out of the teams that lost, I think you have the highest potential to turn your season around immediately. I think you have so much talent. I think it was a slip up and in a crazy environment at home. So
yep, and new teams, new excitement. First week results. We saw it with Sunderland last year. We saw it with some other teams. Don't maul. Wait till I see you.
Next week, or I guess I should say this weekend, we got 2 big ones. Hopefully, maybe Arsenal at Villa. Hopefully, Villa changes that result from last week and has a good performance. Hopefully, the home cooking will be better. Newcastle at Spurs. I made this graphic and immediately realized there could be blowouts in both games. Other than that, City at Palace, Hull at Coventry, and a honestly big early game for both of them, depending on how relegation shakes out. Another newly promoted team traveled to Manchester United.
Are we gonna lose back-to-back weeks to promoted teams? I will end the EPL segment on my own show if this shit happens. I'm gonna tell you right now.
We will see how Ken feels this weekend. Fulham go to Sunderland. Everton travel to Bournemouth, which I think is actually a really good game. Forest go to Liverpool. Brentford go to Leeds, which I also think is a good game. And Brighton go to Chelsea. And
That's got 7-6 written all over it.
I was going to say that feels like a game where off the high of our 3-goal performance against Fulham, Brighton absolutely shut us down and win 2-0. I have no faith. However, we did just sign Emi Martinez on a $10 million deal, which is fantastic. This happened today. So maybe that helps the defense a little. It probably won't.
You're the only one who wanted him. No one wanted him.
The thing is, right, that I think goalkeeping levels, he is the same as Robert Sanchez. As a leadership level, he is miles above Robert Sanchez.
He's a twat.
A twat that's going to win us games.
Just embrace the Argentinian.
Enzo's leaving. We got to bring someone else in.
To keep it going. I like it. All right. That'll do it for us on the Straub Sports Show. Thank you for joining us for our college football preview. We'll be back weekly now. We're in from this point forward. Next week, we'll do a small recap of week 0. We will preview week 1, and then we will preview the NFL. Not going to go super in depth. Not going to talk a lot about the Browns. And also, unlike all ESPN shows, we're not going to talk that much about the Cowboys either. We're going to talk about the whole entire NFL. How about that? All right, Drew, we're out of here. Give me some final shout-outs.
Yes, thank you, everyone, for liking, commenting, watching, however you support the podcast. Real quick, R.I.P. Dolly Parton.
Man.
R.I.P. Tim Curry.
Man.
Tom Curry. Ooh. Sorry.
Tim.
And, thank you. And R.I.P. the voice of Optimus Prime. Absolutely. They go in threes.
You missed a fourth. Rest in peace, Hayden Panettiere, too. It's been a rough week, man.
Yeah, that's right. It's absolutely upsetting. Go watch everything. But you know what? Watch that tonight while the D2 and D3 games go on that Ken's gonna go watch. And then Saturday, get your college football in. We'll see you back next week.
I'm gonna be making a parlay here in a second. Go watch 9 to 5. Just dive in. We love it. We love you guys. Now we love it. We love you guys. We love to be able to be here and to bring it and to bring the Straub Sports Show in. And as I said, we're back full time now. So tap in with us weekly. We'll let you know when the show is, where it'll be, who it'll be, and we'll take care of the rest. That'll do it for us. For little bro, I am big bro. We are out of here. And as always, please remember to love yours.
Hey, Ken's got fire and a wild hot take. Hey, Andrew's stats make the whole place shake. Hey, laughing loud when your team goes down. Hey, Straub boys run this sports town. Show. This is the Straub Sports Show. Sundays, Mondays, we live for the fight. Hey, college game day and Thursday night. Hey, rivals fall and the banter flies. We bleed our teams till the day we die.